Evening and welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, May 8th. Goodness. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go into the acceptance of the minutes for the meeting of April 24th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Nothing under audience. We'll move to reports. For the monthly reports of April, we have the administrators, Dr. Harrison, Ms. Shipper, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Shifley, Ms. Sheehan. The guidance, Ms. Black. The nurse, Ms. Pang. And pupil personnel services with Dr. Miniglia.
4 motions to approve.
4 seconds.
All those in favor? And that's a vote. Under school newsletters, we have Eston, Jefferson, Memorial Park, Middle School, and the high school. We appreciate the time that it takes to put those all together for us. They are always exciting for us to read all the happenings going on, so we appreciate that. We'll move to old business with the Phelps Elementary School update.
I would just like to comment that I see we have a large maintenance log in our packet. It's great that the staff is getting used to the entire building and seeing all the nooks and crannies and working everything out, which I think is great. So we'll be up and running fully, for not that we're not up and running, but that it's still being taken care of while everyone's on site. And besides that, I don't really have an update. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, just I agree. I think the transition has worked out better than I expected. I was nervous. How is it going to be with just one school in this large building? How's it going to work? How's it going to run? And the students have been great, the teachers have been great, and Michelle Shifley and Jan Sheehan and Marilyn Smith have done a great job working at it. So very happy with how it's gone so far this year, and we're excited to open in the fall with all of the kids.
Right.
So very exciting.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one question. So the last few half days where the staff comes together, are we getting the 3 elementary school teachers together to work on the plans for the fall, or how is that coming together?
So we started that work in September, really, and Michelle has really been spearheading this idea of bringing all 3 schools together quite a bit. They had a really big meeting, that was a very important meeting in PD that was last week that brought them together at Phelps, and they did some work together, very successful. So yeah, that's been something that we've been working at really since September. So people will not be seeing, they know their assignments now, they know where their rooms are going to be, they know who they're working with, so they're feeling good about that. At least that's what I've heard.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to completed fundraisers. We have from the Eston PAC, the ice cream social and the silent auction, raised $5,217.45. Also under the Eston PAC for the school store throughout the year, they've raised $15,018.36. Congratulations for them for all their hard work in raising all that money. On to new business. We have the Bridges Academy for grades 7 through 12. Dr. Harrison?
Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. Ms. Shipper is up here presenting with me tonight because it's a grade 7 to 12 proposal. It's an alternative school proposal which would be housed in the preschool wing. The DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, has 94 schools that are registered as an alternative school. This proposal, Bridges Academy, would not be officially registered as a school as one of those 94 because many other towns have alternative programs within the high school, and that's what this proposal is. When I spoke to Lisa Harney at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to run this proposal by her, she strongly recommended we start off as a program, and then if we wanted to apply as a separate school, as one of those 94 schools, we absolutely could. And she kind of went over those differences, but she said start as a program. Part of it is because sometimes you don't know, this is not a special ed school. This is just an alternative education dropout prevention. That's why she hesitated to say go start as a school. So what I thought we would talk about today is what is Bridges Academy? First of all, Bridges Academy, and I think these words in color are key words. Bridges Academy is a grade 7 to 12. It's a career preparatory focused learning environment targeting at-risk students. At-risk could mean attendance issues, behavior issues, mental health issues. Could mean somebody that just has so much going on in their personal life where they're caring for young siblings that they need an alternative education. It could be sometimes there's parental barriers that are prohibiting them from accessing our general education. Small academic setting. We envision 7 to 8 in a class. Flexible learning environment with online courses as an opportunity for them if they were behind in credits. Focus on student behavioral health where they'd have access, the 24, 25 students in this program, grade 7 to 12, they would have access to a counselor. That's a very small ratio. Opportunities for internship and work-based learning experiences as well. So those are kind of the hallmarks of this program, those key words that are underlined in color. If you're wondering what the need is, why are we proposing this tonight? We have an opportunity with additional classrooms, something I know Ms. Shipper feels down at the middle school, they're tight for space, and the same with the high school. So one of the things the middle school has is a 7th to 8th grade transitional learning center, TLC. So they're housed in 2 rooms, and they pretty much stay in those same rooms for most of the day. The benefit of an alternative school, grades 7 to 12, and sharing a space like this is the students can move from room to room throughout the day in that hallway, so they're not in that same room for all 5 periods. Increasing high needs population in the district. We have about 57% high needs students. I just wanted to kind of give actually one more statistic for the students in the TLC. In the last 3 years, 12 students from the TLC that have come to us. 3 out of those 12 have graduated from Rockland High. So we have a high dropout rate from the TLC program. We've had out-of-district students who have returned that have struggled. Out of the last 5 that have returned, only 1 has graduated from Rockland High. And then the new disciplinary law that has been passed, that was November 8th, 2023, that really stresses alternative remedies to suspensions. And this behavioral, a lot of the students may have some behavioral needs, and this program would be able to support those students. At the local and state level, there has been an increase in the dropout rate. The Massachusetts DESE has started a dropout prevention and re-engagement group where quarterly they bring in guest speakers from different towns in Massachusetts, and I've had the opportunity to attend 2 of those workshops, and different schools present on what they're doing for alternative education. So it is one of those things that's frequently talked about. The DESE recommends, if you're saying, why is it 7 to 12? The DESE recommends you target these students that are at risk as early as 7th grade. The academic requirements, this is where it kind of gets complicated. You still have to have 990 hours for time on learning for high school students. You have to have the same pretty much graduation requirements. There is flexibility, so like I can give students a world language waiver, physical education waiver, as long as we give waivers for students that are in our regular educational setting, the non-Bridges Academy. As long as that's consistently applied to both groups, you can do that. So you'll see in the proposal I didn't put world language in here because most of the students wouldn't take world language. However, if they wanted to, we could certainly make that accessible to them. The big difference is probably the internship and work-based learning experience if you think about the program of studies. Online learning would be a component of the academic requirements. The word we tend to use is flexible learning. It gives the kids flexibility because we don't anticipate their attendance is going to be perfect, but the ability to learn remotely and in person gives them the flexibility to stay on task. They still need 23 credits to graduate. Just to talk a little bit about the internship and work-based learning experience, this would be for juniors and seniors. In our first year in the program, there wouldn't be any juniors and seniors. It would be a grade 7th and 8th grade cohort of 7 to 8 students. There would be a 9th grade cohort with very small 4 to 5 students who are coming from the 8th grade TLC program. And then high school would have this grade 9, 10 repeat students who are repeating a grade level cohort. Nobody in this grade 11, 12 in year 1, but I just want to talk about how junior and senior, they would leave at 11:45. They'd have an internship. We would help place them in internships junior year. Hopefully that would turn into a job for senior year. Internship would be unpaid. Job would be paid. They would get credits. we would work with Mass Hire, which we've been working with for 2 years now, for job placements, and they've been fantastic. Our staff, this is where you have to do a lot of clicking, I don't know why. Our staff, we have a guidance counselor from Rogers Middle School TLC program, the special education teacher from Rogers Middle School TLC program, and a paraprofessional from Rogers Middle School would all be part of this program, so we'd move them over to the preschool wing. We'd be adding 2 positions, but I don't believe there would be an impact funding-wise because we already have plans to bring back 1 or 2 out-of-district students to help fund it. These are 2 students who we believe we can definitely service in our program. One of the teachers we hire would be a history and English person, and the other would be a science and math person. Certification could vary between special education, math, science, history, English, there's flexibility there. The high school principal, myself, and the assistant principal at the high school would oversee the program. So the program falls within the high school because every school or every program needs to be assigned to a school ID. We would be assigned to the high school ID. Ms. Shipper, Ms. Dr. Maniglia would both be involved, whether it's a special education student or a middle school student. We'd obviously loop them in and it'd be a collaborative effort. But in terms of being the person responsible, I would be overseeing the day-to-day with the assistant principal at the high school. Last thing we want to tell you about is a typical day. So a typical day, now time on learning, structured learning time does not mean seat time. This is a conversation I had with the DESE, and they provided me some resources from the DESE on what structured learning time can mean. Structured learning time can mean, you'll see scheduled on here as 1:20 to 2:55, online elective coursework as independent studies. Students in this program have a hard time with a long school day. These students would have a later start at 8:45. A typical student would have a morning meeting. Everybody would have a morning meeting. They would have 3 periods throughout the day that are longer in length, about an hour and I think it's 15 minutes long. Now you may say English and history is going to be taught in the same period. How's that going to work? Well, a flexible learning environment could mean the teacher does a whole hour and 15 minutes of English one day, or maybe for a week just English and then they switch to history. Or maybe they take a topic in American Revolution and they teach English through that historical topic. This flexible approach for accessing the curriculum. Math and science, the biology, algebra 1, for example, the teacher may do 30 minutes of math every day to start and then do biology. There's a flexible approach to this style of teaching. The typical day, the dismissal would be at 1:20 because these students in this program, who we've been dealing with for several years now, they struggle in a full day. Often they arrive late and they get dismissed early. We're trying to focus in on 3 big periods each day. And then the junior-senior cohort, which would not exist for the first year, but you'll see personal finance. That would be a focus for math, would be taught through personal finance because it's career preparatory. To kind of summarize a little bit, what are hallmarks of an alternative program? Flexibility, which this program has, behavioral, social-emotional supports, which this program has with access to a guidance counselor. That's a very small ratio of a guidance counselor to 27 students. Individualized instruction with opportunities for remediation. So if a student's is repeating grade 9 and 10, we want to be able to offer them a path to graduate in 3 years so that they're not feeling like they're going to have to be a 5th-year student. And then small class sizes. Those are kind of the hallmarks of a good alternative school. These are just some final thoughts. Dropout rates are important. I feel strongly that students should graduate from high school, all students, and we have a responsibility to provide that student with access to an education that fits their needs. This gives us a tool to do that. These students that are in this program, many are absent 50 to 70 days per year for a variety of factors. This school will be able to work with them if they are absent 50 to 70 days because our current programming doesn't help them with that. They can actually, if they have a great high school in 9th grade, they do great, 8th grade, they do great, they can actually be eligible for our club's activities and sport teams, so they can be a part of our community. They're not excluded from that. Just like an out-of-district student could participate in our clubs and activities and sport teams. And then same graduation requirements, which I emphasize, which speaks to the rigor of the program. And then financially, I don't see this being an added cost for the district. So that's the presentation. Ms. Shipper, did you want to add anything?
A couple things. One point that you might want to consider is that students, if they enroll in this program or get placed in this program, it's not necessarily forever. So this might be something that they do for a while, establish that they're, on track to be back in a general education setting and, change. So it's not, you go in 7th grade, you're automatically here till 12th grade. That's absolutely not the intention. As far as the middle school students going into it, Dr. Harris and I have had a conversation for a long time, when we talk about dropouts. It's tough because in our TLC program, students are given a lot of support and flexibility. And, they transition to high school, and when they didn't have as much support and flexibility there, often they would flounder and struggle, and we would see them drop out. And so that's been something that we've talked about for a while, that we need to address that. I could tell you these kiddos are going to struggle when they get to the high school because we've worked so hard to be flexible with them in the middle school. So this is something that, a lot of all the research we've been looking at indicates that getting them in 7th grade is really critical. 7th and 8th grade years are very difficult years. Middle school, students, there's a lot of changes going on, and often we see them floundering by the time they're leaving 8th grade, going into 9th grade, and a program hasn't existed. So we have felt that something needed to happen. We needed to add a piece to really support the middle school students as they transition to the high school. And I want to reemphasize the fact that John said one of the challenges we face at the middle school with our TLC program is it's housed in one area. So a great question you might ask is, why would I want to send my middle schoolers over to the high school, right? And that would be a legitimate concern. Right now they're housed really, John said 2 classes. It's really a small classroom and an office. And they're kind of kept there all day. And that can be problematic because if somebody's having a rough day, if somebody's just having a rough moment, they're all in one place. And we just don't have the space in the middle school to change that up very much. So this is a whole wing where kids can move, and movement is really important. I would argue, especially for middle school students, movement is really important. So I feel like this has the potential to really save a lot of our students that we're struggling with. So.
Thank you.
Any questions for us?
I was going to let you say, anything else to add? But you're asking us. Does anyone have questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. Parent engagement, do they have to approve, enroll, sign off? Sort of what's the process? Is it parent initiated? Is it more really only faculty and staff initiated?
It's a great question, and it's not an easy answer. So if it's a student who's special education, most likely that special education student would have a special ed team meeting, and it would classify as what's called a change in placement. So it'd have to be a team decision. For a non-special ed student, it would pretty much have to be voluntary. So it couldn't be forced upon them. So it's kind of multi-layered. Either way, there would be a form, there would be a process. Parent would come in for a meeting. They'd learn about the program. We have a fancy brochure that we've made. They would have to have a consent, though, the parent. We wouldn't just say, surprise. On another note, this program would also service, we have students that come back from hospitalizations, so they wouldn't necessarily be in Bridges Academy, but instead of saying to a student, back to the classroom after a long-term hospitalization, they could go to Bridges Academy because we'll have a resource room there with a special education teacher housed all day. They could spend 1 or 2 days there to get themselves feeling caught up and then transition back to the classroom.
In fact, to just add to that, parents ask us about this already in IEP meetings, in middle school IEP meetings. So I think that we will have parent support for it. They're looking for a more supportive setting for students who struggle.
Can I just add? I think it's really important to stress that we're talking about 2% of our student population who are missing 50, 60, 70 days a year. And Cheryl will tell you, she knows who these kids are probably in 6th grade. And right now, we just don't have a place for them. I think that this is an incredible opportunity for the district, because while we spend a lot of energy and really think about rigor and what our curriculum looks like, how many AP courses we're offering, what do our honors programs look like, where are we sending kids to college, what's our graduation rate, all of these things are incredibly important. But we have an opportunity now to serve a subsection of our population that we couldn't serve before. And that dropout rate, which has been hovering around 1% or 1.5%, could be up around 5 or 6% in the next year or two if we don't take action. So there's some very practical aspects to this, but I like to think of it as another step towards becoming a real world-class school district that serves all students, and not just saying it, but doing it.
Right.
So I really applaud Dr. Harrison and Ms. Shipper for coming up with this plan, and I fully support it. Thank you for all of your work.
Hold on. Thanks, Dr. Cron. Dr. Small?
Will we be able to support these students with transportation? So I know that you're saying that the hours are a little bit different, but some of it has to do with parental ability to get the kids to and from school. So will we be able to assist with that?
Yep, I think that's a great question. So the afternoon's a little bit harder than the morning. The morning, we do have, just like an out-of-district student, we have access to vans in-house that we could obviously use for a student. I don't anticipate them taking, the grade 9 to 12 students, very few of the students that would be served in this program presently are taking the buses. Really, it's those 7th to 8th grade students that we'd have to be flexible. One thing I will say is our backup option on this schedule, if a student family wasn't able to have transportation, you'll see the 1:20 to 2:55 time for when the bus comes. That's always going to have the paraprofessional that's housed in a room with the 3 or 4 students that parents may have said, I don't want them leaving at 1:20, I want them there at 2:55. So that paraprofessional would be in that room so that the teachers could have their prep time. So that would be our backup option if, because I don't envision them taking the bus. We have the vans through special education as option 1, if that's available. If that's not available, then we have and a parent can't pick them up, we do have some backups.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Yes. So what's the well, first off, there's 25 kids in the TLC program, roughly? Is that what was
This
stated?
program would service so there's 3 cohorts that would travel throughout the day. There's a 7th and 8th grade cohort, 9th and 10th, and 11th and 12th in a normal year.
Yeah.
Each cohort would have between 7 and 8 students, so this program would service 25 students. TLC presently?
Between 8 and 10.
Okay. And then what's the difference between the Bridges and the Sales program?
It's a great question. So we spent a lot of time thinking about what's the difference between SAIL and Bridges. So SAIL program is not a behavioral program. That is we have the high school, we have no behavioral program. That's what Bridges Academy really would fit that bill.
Mm-hmm.
SAIL program is really for students that may be absent 15 to 25 days who can still access the curriculum. Students in SAIL are able to take electives in our building and function outside the SAIL program successfully. A lot of times students in the SAIL program are higher functioning than the students that will be in Bridges because they haven't been behind grade level.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I didn't go over is that our proposed grading system for Bridges would not be a letter grade, it would be a mastery-based learning system. So it'd be like a meeting the standard, exceeding the standard, progressing to the standard, because that letter grade sometimes creates this huge barrier for the students when we're really trying to assess a student's proficiency level. That would be a difference because the SAIL students receive a letter grade.
And then, so if the student is successful in this and then can transition out to the general group, how do you, I guess, picture that transition? Like what steps need to be met to go back to general?
So if a student were to go from Bridges Academy, I just mentioned the mastery-based grading system. Those mastery-based grading, like exceeding would translate to an A. If we
Okay.
did have to adjust their transcript, so we would adjust their transcript accordingly so that they could have a GPA calculated and go into mainstream. Most likely, a student from Bridges Academy would go from Bridges Academy to Sale to mainstream. They're almost like tiered interventions where a regular ed classroom could be tier 1. We support them in that classroom, and then tier 2's Sale program, and tier 3 would be Bridges Academy in terms of the intensity of the intervention.
And then is there any state funding or grants for this program? Or is it
It's a
too
great
new?
question, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Is that all?
And then
She has a little list over there. She's very organized.
so attendance requirements, I know you talked about that a little bit, but what if they get 100 days of like, is there any, like, okay, we're done
No,
kind
there-
of scenario?
In this
We
program,
tried?
there wouldn't be.
Okay.
It would, I mean, the model in this, the belief in this program is we do not want a student to drop out. I think if a student were 17, and it was in their best interest to transition to night school because they had a great job, and then that was going to be their best path to getting a high school diploma, that's great. Right now, we're running into the problem that these students are 16 and parents are willing to sign them out, which is a change. That wasn't always a thing.
Right. And then, just an idea, I don't know if this already happens. Have you ever had an adult ed student come in to the program to talk to the students that are struggling or go into the Bridges program to talk about how difficult it is to go back to school after?
It's a great idea.
I don't know if that already happens,
No,
but
it's a
it
great
just
idea.
popped up while we were just,
Something we can definitely do because we have the night school.
Right.
Kids that have been
Right.
successful.
and like, it's so successful, the night school, but I know once you go out of school, it's so difficult to go back
To go back
and
and
whatnot.
juggle everything
Right.
else.
And that's all my questions.
I have one.
Go ahead.
You talked about this program being an alternative to bring a few students back to district. Do we envision that this would be an open program for non-Rockland residents, that we would take out-of-district people to this alternative program?
I don't really know the answer to that. It's a
Well,
great
maybe not to
question.
start, but
Right.
yeah, it's just a.
get rolling.
an
What I
option.
can tell you now is we can fill the 25 spots right now in Rockland. So
Yeah.
I think if there was ever a time where there wasn't a need in Rockland and we had opportunity, I don't think we would say no. But I think right now, at least for the next few years, we'll be having that 25 cap.
I just
Thank
have
you.
one more.
Go ahead.
So the cost savings would come from students that are placed out of district, we'd be bringing them back into the Bridges program, and that would hopefully be the cost savings.
Yeah, Dr. Maniglia, Ms. Corvini, and I met, and we reviewed the out-of-district students, and we looked at which students could we service based on their needs in this program. We were able to come up with one or two names pretty easily, one of which I already know, that I think I can confidently say we can educate here.
And you would need parent consent to bring them back into the program and sign in?
Since it's a special education student, it's more of a team decision, so that team would make that decision of the
Okay.
change in placement.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? You're good? You're good?
Looking for a
We have a vote.
Yep, but I wanted to comment myself and let
Okay.
everyone go.
I guess.
I just wanted to say, when I was first approached for this, my first instinct was, whoa, what are we getting into here? And then I thought, well, who are we? We're Rockland, and these are our kids, and we've been advocating for our kids from preschool now, trying to get them at 4 years old. We shouldn't be letting go of them when they get up into 7th, 8th grade, or even up into the senior year, dropping out because we didn't advocate for them there. We didn't hold on to them. We're responsible for these kids, and when we see them in the town, I want to be able to look them in the eye and think that we did everything possible for these kids, right? If they don't have that support at home, then they need it from us. And so for me, my own heart says this is the right thing to do. We're here to do it for the kids. We as school committee members need to be advocating for the students, not only for the families in the town and for the finances of the town, but for the students. And so I wanted to say thank you for you and for your team and Dr. Cron and Jane for coming to us with this, because I think it just shows the level of people that we have here in Rockland that are educating our students, that took the time at home in their own hearts and in their offices to say, we need to do more, that we're not doing enough, and these are our kids. So kudos to all of you. Thank you so much. Before I get emotional on my bulldog pride, I just think that this is the right thing for Rockland to do, and I can't say enough about it. So yes, now we can vote.
Motion to approve Bridges Academy for grades 7 through 12.
Second.
All those in favor? And that's a vote. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting. Okay, on to putting my glasses back on. Request for a new environmental science book presented by our Rockland High School teacher, Julia DeCanzio. Is that how I say it? Sorry. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Julia DeCanzio. I'm the science department head at the high school. And the reason why we're asking for a textbook for environmental science is because we're newly offering it as a course other than at the AP level. So we've been offering it at the AP level, and we're replacing earth science with environmental science to just have a little bit more relevancy in the importance of the content. So I have 3 textbooks here, and I unfortunately do not have a sample of them. They're coming next week. So I was thinking we could leave them in the high school or the district office if you wanted to stop by and look through them. But the first option is my primary option, which is called Principles of Environmental Science, Inquiry and Application. It's a general textbook, but it also has online subscription for students available. So they could not only access the textbook, but there are like online activities and little virtual labs that they can do. There's a lab manual that we can purchase for the teacher that has labs that directly align with it. And the reason that I liked this textbook the best was that it had the most cross-curricular activities within it, like some engineering skills mentioned, mathematics skills mentioned, as well as just general case studies and improving scientific literacy. That I just felt this was the most relevant of the options. I can go into the other options if you'd like, or if you have any other questions about that. But I also attached the quotes for each of those options as well.
Thank you.
So we usually I believe we do a first and second reading for the
Right.
textbook, so we'll get the textbooks in central office, so if you want to stop by. Also, if you could share links
Sure.
to the 3 textbooks
Yes.
with me by email.
Yep.
And then I'll share them with you, so you
Okay.
could look from home. And
Yeah.
then we'd take a final, so you would just vote to table
Right.
tonight.
That's what I was going to ask, was
Yeah.
the window of opportunity for her to be able to order these to have them for next year.
Are you in a hurry?
No, we have time to
Okay.
have them. And I'm in contact with the representative from McGraw-Hill, and she knows that this is happening over the summer, basically,
Okay.
is the course of it. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can table it until next week.
Next
And as
week.
soon as they're in, I'll let you know, and I'll share those links with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
Does
have
anyone,
a
go ahead,
question.
go ahead.
Yeah, I see this first textbook, it talks about having EL support.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that? And I didn't see it mentioned with the other textbooks, but I think it's important with our population to
Yeah.
be able to provide the, same materials to all our students.
Exactly. I think that this one, some of the online subscription options offers translations. I saw Spanish for sure. Because I didn't have access to the online, I don't know for sure if it also goes into Portuguese, which is the language of most of our population of ELs. But this one particularly talked about the teacher manual has a whole section of differentiation for special ed and a whole section for differentiation for EL and kind of like vocabulary breakdown and stuff like that. Whereas the other ones didn't mention it at all, so this one jumped out the most. Because this class would be a lab credit for 11th and 12th graders. So it would be like an elective option that students could take, and so we want to make sure it's accessible for everybody.
Great. When you let Dr. Cron know with the books being in, if you could also find out if they have Portuguese
Yes,
materials,
I will.
that would be great to
I
pass
will.
on as well. Thank you.
Yep.
Is this first book the only one that doesn't have an additional cost each year?
So there's an online subscription option that we could do, and I can talk to our representative for a 6-year, which is a much lower cost.
Okay.
Whereas the other ones all are more so year by year.
Year by year, right. Okay,
Subscriptions.
okay, great. Any other questions?
I was just going to say thank you for I think it's always a great ability to get our kids interested in what we're teaching when it's really relevant. So
Yes.
thank you for going down this road.
Yes, thank you.
I agree. Okay. Nothing else? I don't want to cut anyone off. Okay. So why don't we, I'll entertain a motion to table.
Motion to table?
Second?
All those in favor? That's a vote. And if you
Thank
don't mind
you.
coming back
Thank
to
you.
us, we'd appreciate it.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Mass Health.
Right, good evening. This is a public service announcement that Mass Health, the state-funded health insurance program, is reviewing all participants in the program. They began their review in April of this year. Since COVID in March of 2020, anyone who was on Mass Health or who has come on Mass Health since March of 2020 has been automatically renewed every year. Beginning this April, they are reviewing all folks who are on Mass Health to do a redetermination of their eligibility. If they do not have enough information to make that determination, they are going to mail a blue envelope to your home. So we have become certified to assist you in processing that blue envelope. So if anyone receives a blue envelope from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, please open it. And if you need help completing the form, we will help you complete the form. You can contact your building principal, and your building principal will get you in touch with someone right away who can help you with the form. This is important for you to be able to continue to maintain your health insurance benefits for the participants, and it would be worthwhile for you to log into your Mass Health account to make sure all of your address and telephone numbers and email addresses are correct, so Mass Health can contact you if they need to. And again, if you receive a blue envelope from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's regarding your health insurance with Mass Health, and please open and process the forms, and if you need assistance, please contact your principal, and your principal will get you in touch with someone who can help you.
Thank you.
Can I ask two questions? One is, if people don't know how to contact Mass Health, they've moved multiple times, they don't have an account, they don't know how to access it, they don't have computer access, can they reach out to the schools to help them verify that Mass Health
Please
has
do.
their information? Okay.
So you can contact us if you are unsure on how to proceed in any way, shape, or form. We will be doing a mailing and an emailing, and we will be working with the PACs, our nurses, our principals, et cetera, and the support teams at all of the schools to help folks reach out. This is the first step. We'll put together the packet. We need to proofread it before we do, and get it emailed and mailed out to everyone, and we'll have forms available at open houses and outreach and everything, every step of the way.
That was going to be my next question. Will we send home flyers, and will they be in more languages than
Yes,
just English?
they're multi-language.
Great, thank you.
Correct.
Thank you very much. You make the pediatrician happy.
She has them for you to see if you want to see them.
Perfect.
It's just, it's another step toward the district providing services to our students and families. And I want to thank Melissa Humphreys and Jane for taking the lead on this. But again, you know, we've brought mental health services to our families. Now we're helping to bring Mass Health to our families, and I think they feel comfortable. I want them to feel comfortable with their schools.
Right.
So they're comfortable with their school nurse, they're comfortable with their principal, and a lot of times people who need help are not comfortable asking for it. So they're more comfortable, I hope, coming to school than taking the train into Boston and trying to find their way around and hopefully find someone to help them. They can just come to school and get help now. So I think it's pretty great.
It also just reminds me of your comment earlier about taking care of all of our students.
All of our students.
Right? And making sure that all of our students have everything that they need. So
Right.
I think it just is just another demonstration of how committed this school district is, and I'm sure the rest of the committee are so appreciative for the work that everybody is doing day in and day out to take care of all of our students in all of the ways.
Thank you. I agree.
Good
I
stuff.
couldn't have said it better. Any other comments, thoughts? No? Okay. We'll move on to Dr. Cron's superintendent's report.
Thank you. It's relatively brief. I first want to thank everyone in town for a town meeting last week, for approving our budget, for approving our articles, for continuing to support the school department the way they always have. It's always heartening to go to town meeting and to hear the unanimous votes in support of our budgets, and it's greatly appreciated. And thank you again to Doug Lapp for his cooperation and our work together, and the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee, I
and
was gonna
everyone
add in.
else. Yeah, no, we really appreciate it, all the support that we get, and we're again, I'm always proud to work in Rockland. And my second and last thing is congratulations to Cheryl Thompson and the art department for just an amazing art show. And it's not just art now, it includes woodworking and music and drama and technology and everything else, and it's a really special event. So congratulations. I can't even begin to imagine the amount of hours that's spent putting that together. So it was great, really great. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I'll start with our public service announcements. I'll go to our student rep, Ava.
So this week the high school is hosting an awareness week where like every day we're like raising awareness for like a different cause. So today we wore green for mental health. Tomorrow it's purple for cancer. Wednesday is blue for addiction. Thursday is camo for hidden disabilities, and Friday is red for physical disabilities.
Great, thank you.
That's all.
That's all you have?
Yep.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Smile, you never go first because you're always over there. So now's your turn. Are you ready? Do you want to go the other way?
I'll do my best.
Okay.
I wanted to acknowledge the Rockland Youth Lacrosse program. So this year was the first year that they brought back the All-Star League, and we had 3 to 4 players from each of our 3 teams that represented Rockland. So very proud of them, and congratulations to them for getting back to the All-Star game. And then secondly, the pediatrician and me would never pass up the opportunity to remind you to enjoy the beautiful weather, but do so safely, wearing helmets and your sunscreen, and looking both ways before you cross the street. That's what I have.
That's all you have. Ms. Hennessy?
Sure, before I kind of do public service, in the superintendent or the department reports, I meant to call out that in the high school there were a few field trips that gave students awareness to things outside of a 4-year college. So I just wanted to make sure that is publicized, because I think a lot of focus comes on, we don't support careers and trades and military, but I wanted to highlight that students in April actually went to Southeastern Technical Institute, South Shore VOTEC, and visited the pipe fitters and sprinkler fitters union hall. So I just wanted to call that out because I think that is a great thing that our guidance department in the high school does to support all of the students post-high school opportunities. So I just know we focused a lot on, college seminars and, tuition and getting scholarships and things like that, but I wanted to highlight the good work that does happen in that stream to support all our students. So then I was going to also say congratulations on the art festival. It was a proud mama moment for me. My daughter had 5 or 6 pieces in pre-AP art, so it was great to see that, as well as all the things right from kindergarten up through 12th grade. So a lot of great exposure. So thank you, and enjoy the spring weather. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. I'll talk about all the other end of the year stuff next. This is going to be busy time, right? It's busy time for everything.
Great. Mrs. Davidson?
I would like to thank all the PACs for Teacher Appreciation Week. I know I've seen lots of treats going into all the schools throughout the district. So thank you to the PACs, and of course, thank you to our teachers and all the staff that makes the school system run the way it does. And then also, the Eston PAC, a shout out, I saw that they raised over $13,000 in gift cards to the teachers, and I think that is amazing. And also the Rockland Garden Center donated some items. I know all the businesses in town are very generous, so thank you for a great year of fundraisers, and we'll see you all next year for fundraisers. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I have good luck to all of those students that are taking AP exams this week in the high school, and good luck to our grade 3, 5 through 8 students taking the MCASs in math this week. And good luck to the families that are supporting the students that are taking all those hard exams this week. And then I also wanted to say, for Teacher Appreciation Week, thank you to all of you that come into our building each day. You're leaving your families to come teach ours, and I can't thank you enough. I know you're teaching one of mine, and there's just nothing more said than a teacher that really cares about what they're doing and taking the time to leave their own families to step into ours. So I appreciate that, and that's all I have. Anybody, anything else? No? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor? That's it. Good night.